Style, soul, and self-defense, the cultural legacy of the Panthers. Long before the world ever listened to their words, the Black Panthers spoke volumes without saying anything at all. It was in the way they walked, the way they stood, the way they dressed. From the leather jackets to the black berets, the sunglasses to the calm, unflinching posture, they embodied resistance before a single slogan was ever printed. You could see it on a street corner in Oakland, in a crowded classroom in Chicago, or in a photograph clipped from the newspaper and pinned to a teenager's bedroom wall. The image of the Panthers, stoic, self-possessed, deliberate, sent a message that no history book could contain. It said, "We are not afraid." It said, "We know who we are." But the Panthers didn't just change the way they looked. They changed how Black America saw itself. Before them, too many images in magazines and on television told a story of invisibility, or worse, of caricature. But the Panthers refused to be erased or mocked. They gave the world a new visual language for pride, for dignity, for power rooted in culture. Their style wasn't for fashion, it was a form of armor. The black leather jackets didn't just look sharp, they protected against the cold during early morning patrols. The sunglasses didn't just look cool, they shielded their eyes from police spotlights. Every detail had a purpose. Every image was a statement. Even the way they stood in formation, arms crossed, bodies steady, was a message. We are organized. We are watching. We will not back down. And behind that image was sound, the music, the rhythm of revolution pulsing through the veins of a restless generation. James Brown's voice echoed from radios. "Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud." Gil Scott-Heron laid down truth in poetry. Nina Simone poured fury into piano keys. The Panthers understood that culture was power, that you could teach history in a speech, but you could also teach it in a song, that sometimes the drumbeat spoke louder than the bullet. In Panther-run schools and after-school programs, children didn't just learn math or spelling. They learned about Africa, about heroes who looked like them. They read books that weren't in public libraries. They saw photos of Malcolm X, Patrice Lumumba, Sojourner Truth, not as distant figures, but as family. The party built a curriculum where Black identity was not a footnote, but the foundation. And in their art, posters, newspapers, murals, there was raw energy. You could feel it in the powerful ink of Emory Douglas, the Panther Party's Minister of Culture. His artwork wasn't polite, it was bold, confrontational, full of thick lines and thick truths. A hungry child in one frame, a police officer as a pig in another. It was agitprop, yes, but also a mirror held up to a nation that refused to see itself clearly. Over time, the Panthers' influence crept into spaces no one expected, into hip-hop lyrics, decades later, into the red, black, and green beads on necklaces worn in New York subways, into the afro that grew freely in the mirror of a young girl in Detroit, into the idea that black is beautiful, not in theory, not as a slogan, but as a lived and felt reality. That legacy, too, was part of the revolution. Even today, the echoes are still there, in protest signs painted with raised fists, in college courses titled Radical Thought and Black Resistance. In every moment a young person chooses to question authority, to read deeply, to dress with purpose, to speak with power, they are reaching backward into history and pulling something forward with them. Of course, not all stories survive intact. Some have been misrepresented, others forgotten. But culture has a way of outliving oppression. The uniform, the slogans, the songs. These were never just decorations. They were declarations of existence, of pride, of refusal to be silent. If you were there, if you remember what it felt like to see the Panthers for the first time, standing proud under the California sun, you know it was never just about guns or government. It was about self-respect. It was about saying to the world and to yourself, we matter. We always have. In our next episode, we'll follow that cultural current into the present, into the movement shaped by the Panthers, the people who claim their legacy, and the complicated conversations around what Black liberation looks like now. The story doesn't end, it grows. If this episode stirred a memory, leave us a comment. If it made you feel something old awaken inside you, share it. Because culture isn't just what we consume, it's what we remember. And remembering is, in itself, an act of power.